Today we're going to be doing Apocalyptic Shadow 4 with a Super Break Sushang team, and it is a whopping cost of only 2. So you don't need to invest in like 5 billion 5-stars with their signatures and their eidolons. I think Sushang is actually very underrated when it comes to Super Break teams. Like, she works very well in crit too, but she also is quite strong with Super Break. A lot of characters that are forced into Super Break that aren't these typical Super Break DPS, such as Boot Hill or Firefly or Rappa, it's not always like, not optimal is not quite the right word, but you know, made for it. Himiko, she is nice with break and she does get her talent follow up from the break, but she has nothing else that is centered around break. Now, Sushang is similar, but she has more going for her for what happens when enemies are weakness broken, and more in her kits that can benefit from it, or at least in my opinion. With the Apocalyptic Shadow 4 buff we have right now, the current cycle at least, I'm not actually sure it affects Super Break damage. We have skill points and HP are restored, and then we get it so the enemy takes more damage from basic attacks and skills once the buff is active. But again, not really sure if that applies to Super Break damage. Don't know. We are using Gallagher, Sushang, Ron Mei, and Ting Yun. I will show the builds at the end of this. We have no 5-star light cones here. The buff we're using is Daring Wager for 15% more speed for all allies and reduces their damage taken by 15%. This is a run with Gallagher as a sustain. I'm sure you can do the sustainless, and I might also do a video of it sustainless, but I know a lot of people use the sustain, so I figured we'll shove Gallagher in here because why not? Let's go ahead and start. Yes. Oh, very ominous looking. This guy, I'm not sure how I feel about this boss as a whole. He's both annoying but also a really good boss. Really, I guess that's how a boss should be, right? It should be difficult enough that it annoys you, but not so difficult that it's impossible. Now, you are definitely going to want to put your Ting Yun buff on Gallagher here because the enemy already has physical weakness, so you're not benefiting much by putting it on Sushang. You do get the extra break effect, but that's not really necessary. Not when we could get more toughness reduction by slapping it onto Gallagher. One of the talents, sorry, not one of the talents, the talent that Sushang has is she gets bonus speed when an enemy is on the field and weakness broken, which is actually really, really nice to have because at level 12, so if you have the +2 levels from her eidolons, you get an extra you get an extra 21% if it's maxed out then. 21% speed. That's pretty nice if you ask me. And on top of that, if you have her E6, you can also get an extra stack of the talents, and you get 1 stack at the start of battle. So that means you can go up to 42% extra speed. 42% speed is a lot of speed. And then you get a 4-star light cone on her, like here. We have this 4-star S4 right now. It is called Shadowed by Night. We get another 11% speed when you deal break damage. That's a lot of speed. Plus, we get 10% from Ron Mei and then the 15% from the current buff. And look at that. 238 speed Sushang. You'll love to see it, folks. Very, very fast. So you'll be able to get a ton of attacks out with her, which is just how we like it. Gallagher is not built super well here. I wish my Gallagher was better, but I just don't have amazing relics on him. I think he's got like 140 speed or something. It's acceptable, but I do wish it was better. Now we can start dealing toughness to the main guy, which is what we want. It sucks when you lose that extra energy though from his attack. You're definitely going to want to start focusing on him with your Sushang because you'll get AoE from Gallagher that's going to break the side dice to get the extra damage. 162k. It's pretty solid. We unfortunately do not have the buff going anymore on Ron Mei, but we'll be able to get it back up pretty quickly. We just need one more turn. So we're going to do that. We're not going to use our ults yet because we want to get Ron Mei's buff back up. There we go. Now we use this. 219k on the break. Pretty spicy if you ask me. Now you go skill, ult, and then skill again. You'll see we get so many turns out of this by using Sushang because of her speed. Like the downtime on her attacking is non-existent. It's just back-to-back attacks over and over and over. One of the problems she has, though, with her talents of giving bonus speed is that it lasts 2 turns after an enemy has become weakness broken. So if the enemy is no longer weakness broken after she takes a million turns, like here, she starts to lose the speed buffs, which isn't really optimal. I'm sure you can figure that out. But it's not the end of the world. She still is very, very fast in this setup. And now he should go on to his second phase. Beautiful. 231k on a bleed DOT. That's pretty nice. I definitely could have cast my ult here sooner on Sushang, but it's not the end of the world. We'll survive. Don't use it yet. Here we go. Now we'll attack this. We are going to use our ult here. It's a little bit of a waste as far as damage goes, but we want to be able to break these dice as fast as possible. The more time we waste trying to break the dice, the less action value we'll have at the end of it. Doesn't really matter who we attack with our Ting Yun. We're going to use her ults though. Oh man, beautiful ults. Anyone that didn't pull Ting Yun, I feel very sorry for you. She is glorious. Attack this, use his ults. Gallagher. Now the Eidolons on Sushang are actually really well rounded, or not well rounded, that's not the word I'm looking for. They're really good for super break because of what they do. Her E1, absolutely massive, makes it so that she no longer consumes skill points when using her skill on a weakness broken enemy. Her E4 gives her 40% break effect, and her E6, I already mentioned earlier, lets her talent stack twice and gives her a stack of her talent at the beginning of battle. That's a lot of extra stuff if you ask me. We're gonna go ahead and hit the one for 22 because Gallagher should be able to destroy this one just fine. Yes sir, beautiful. And now we attack. Yeah, we'll do this one. That should break it. And now his weakness is available to attack. Perfect. Doesn't matter that we lost energy on Sushang. See, she's still going to get her ult back just fine. Cast this. Now, it's going to be a little annoying trying to break the toughness on all of the dice because we want that extra damage here. And Gallagher's not going to be able to one-shot them with his ult, so we might end up doing a couple skills on some of these on the sides. We'll see, but we're going to ult on the main guy right now. Beautiful 219k damage. Yes, it's not like the most insane thing ever, but I think this is a pretty solid team given the level of investment that's been put into it. Will we get enough energy from a basic attack here? Ooh, we will not, I don't think. Oh, no. That we will actually. We will get enough energy from this. Very good, very good. Perfect. For a second there, I forgot how to do math, but that's fine. That just makes it more relatable. 370k. Beautiful, beautiful damage. Go ahead and whack this one right here. It helps if you were to actually have someone that can deal physical damage in an AoE, well, physical, ice, wind, or lightning, so you can just break the dice around faster. But it's not the end of the world. We'll still be able to break them and get that extra damage, which is what we want out of it. That's going to break that one. It would be awesome to have a few ults here right now. Now, this one we don't want to let explode. So we'll probably go ahead and hit this. Yes. Because if that exploded and hit us, that would be very suboptimal, to say the least. Now we're going to whack this. We are using way less skill points than we could. This is a very skill point friendly team, which is why it would be great to have a Linksha here or another character that's not a sustain to make use of the ungodly amount of skill points we have. We're almost always capped out on skill points all the time. but I do not have anybody that's a good replacement here. So we're just going to be sticking with Gallagher right now. Linksha would be so good in this team. I have a very interesting team setup that I want to talk about, slash a theory craft, I guess, show at the end of this, because I love Sushang and I love the idea of hyper investing into her. And I'm sure there's a few people that are like that as well. They really want to invest as much into Sushang because it's like, you know, their favorite character or something. And this should kill him, the bleed GOT. There it is. And that is 3321 score. That is enough for the maximum amount of point or max rewards you need. You need like 3,300 on average each side. I think that's pretty damn solid for a 4-star with no limited eidolons on the sustain, or not the sustain, the harmony units or buffers, because Fugue is a nihility, but let's be honest, she's a harmony unit. We all know it's true. You know it's true. I know it's true. So let's go ahead and show the team. Gallagher is at 144 speed with 66 break effect. Kind of a yikes. He's using S2 of Dreams Montage. It's a newer-ish light cone off of the light cone banner. It's not amazing. There's definitely better options. I should have been using Quid Pro Quo. I just forgot about it till literally just now. That's a whoopsie. So it could have been a bit better of a run. Traces are maxed, doesn't matter. He's not doing any amount of damage, so these don't really matter for him. For relics, we do have 4-piece of the Iron Cavalry. Also doesn't matter. The enemy is not going to be able to, or he's not going to be able to benefit from this because he's not going to hit 250 break effect. And I'm not even sure if he's hitting 150 break effect. So you could run a different relic set for sure on him. A much better thing to do would be speed, right? Like 2-piece 6% speed or more 2-piece on break effect. But well, this is only level 3 as well. Not amazing relics, very lackluster. The speed is nice on this, but we're not getting that 40% break effect because no enemy is weak to fire, so we're not actually able to proc that. Very, very dog water Gallagher build, which is saying something considering how decent the run was. He is E6 as well. Sushang, she is sitting at 155 speed, 176.9 break effect with S4 of the Shadowed by Night. I would love an S5 of this. It is basically just a 4-star version of Boot Hill's light cone. All of her traces are maxed. She is also running 4-piece Iron Cavalry, though we do get enough break effect for her to be able to proc the maximum bonus on this. 9 speed. If this had break effect on it, oh my gosh. 4 speed, 12 break effect, that could be better. 4 speed, you know, a little bit of break effect, no speed on this piece. Overall, decent stats though. She is E6, and here, see, E1 gets skill points back, E2 for the break effect, and E6 for the talent stacking. Oh my god. Glorious. I love Sushang. Very, very underrated character. Ron May at 138 speed. I would actually like to lower her speed a little bit. She's at 160.2 break effect, S5 of Memories of the Past, max traces. She's using 4-piece of the Thief sets and 2-piece Von Whack, E0. And finally, Fugue, who is at 182 speed. I know that looks pretty insane. She has a lot of speed in her traces. 156.6 break effect. She has S5 resolution for the extra def shred. You do not need her signature light cone, that's for sure. That's why I didn't pull it, right? It's not necessary. The def shred she gets from her skill is very, very nice. I don't even have it maxed. I could go another 2 levels on this for another 2% def shred. So this team could get better for sure. Like my relics could be better. I could have leveled Fugue's talents a little bit more. I could have not used Gallagher. 9 speed, 17 break effect. This is like the best relic I have. This is not like standard stuff on my account. This is the best relic I own on my account by far. 9 speed, 17 break effect, kind of insane. 6 speed, 11 break effect, 4 speed, no break effect, 11 break effect, 7 speed, 11 break effect. Pretty decent pieces. I do wish I had speed on this though, because there's no speed on this at all, and then like this only has 4. If you have average speed on each of your relics, you'll definitely be able to hit 182 for sure. It's not that hard. And E0, So only 2 costs, only 2 5-stars, no limited Eidolons and no limited light cones, or 5-star light cones, that is. Very, very good if you ask me, very comfortable. People try to say you gotta invest heavily to make stuff work. Now, this really only works if the enemy is going to be like physical weak. It's a little more rough if you don't have them physical weak. Now, I would say if you have an E1 Fugue and you put the buff on Sushang, between the weakness break efficiency from Fugue's E1 and the weakness break efficiency from Ron May, she'll basically deal full weakness break normally, even on enemies that aren't weak to physical. You are losing it on damage, but it would make things a lot more comfortable. So if I were to vertically invest in this team, I would definitely go for an E1 Fugue. Now, I mentioned that I had a team I wanted to like talk about that I would like to work towards getting, which would be the maximum Def Shred / Ignore team. You could go for Sushang here. Now, Def Shred and Def Ignore stack additively, so they're practically the same thing in practice. And the higher you go, the more value you get out of it. Like going from 0 to 20 Def Shred is a much smaller damage increase than from 80 to 100. That extra 20 on the high end would be much more value. So you want as high of Def Shred as you can get, up to 100%. Now, Sushang herself has 0% Def Shred in her kit. But with the 4-piece of Iron Cavalry, we are able to get up to 15 and 10 together. That's 25% Def Shred, or sorry, Def Ignore. Again, they're basically the same thing. We're going to count them as the same thing. So that's 25% right there. Now we have 16% from Resolution on our Fugue. That puts us at 41%. Then we go to her traces. If this was maxed out, her skill, we would be able to get another 17%. All right, that's 58% Def Shred / Ignore. Now, if you were to actually get an Eidolon, this is going to require that you get an Eidolon, okay? Get E1 Ron May. I think that's pretty reasonable. I mean, we only have 2 5s, so that would put it at a 3 cost. That's still not that bad at all. And she's an old Harmony unit now. She's had several reruns. I'm sure a lot of people have her E1. That would be another 20%, putting us at 78%. We are now only 22% away. Now, if we go to our databank, light cones, and go to Boot Hill's light cone, increase the wearer's break effect by 60%. The break damage dealt by the wearer ignores 20% of the target's defense. When the wearer's break effect in battle is at 150% or greater, increases their speed by 12%. This, compared to the S5 of the Shadowed by the Hunt light cone I have on her right now, they both give the same break effect and they give the same speed bonus. The only difference, really, other than the HP attack def, which is irrelevant, is that this gives you the def ignore. And you get an extra 3% per superimposition, meaning at S2, you have 23%, putting you at 101% def shred / ignore. Now, yes, it is going to require that you get Ron May's first Eidolon and you get S2 of Boot Hill's light cone. But for those that are like heavily invested on investing in Sushang, I think it's definitely worth it, right? And then after that, the next thing you would go for if you continued to vertically invest would be Fugue's E1, and then after that, her E2. Her E2 is not really necessary, though. So that would be a very, very strong team. You do not have to pull one of the limited break characters. I mean, yes, they'll be more universal probably, but honestly, they have their own issues as well. Rappa, she does not need her light cone as much as people say she does, but she does benefit greatly from having it. Firefly is Firefly. She's got some skill point issues, and there isn't really any good options light cone wise for her outside of her signature. So that's a bit of a yikes. I honestly don't think Firefly is as great as people say. That's probably going to get someone like to dislike this video, but so be it. Great unit, don't get me wrong. Not as good as people think she is, though. I think that's it. I don't want to yap too much. This is probably going to be like half an hour video. TLDR, Sushang, really, really strong. Probably going to do maybe another video like this where I don't do a sustain. Maybe I'll do a crit Sushang. Not that Sushang is the only character I can do videos on, but she's the focus right now. That's pretty much it though. If you liked the video or you want to see more of this kind of content, make sure to let me know. This is fairly new. I don't know. I've only ever done like one other Star Rail video. So tell me if you like this and maybe subscribe. That would be very big PP energy. Adios.